Hello, Jorbs here, recording my August Patreon Ask Me Anything. Hope you're doing well. Hope that July was great and that August is going to be even better. Got a few questions to look at this morning, and I think I'll just jump right into it. So I had a couple of different questions about streaming nights through July, because I started streaming at night, and a lot of people have just asked in the channel as well, so I figured I'd give a fairly full answer about that. In general, it's a little bit complicated to explain to viewers why I am doing the things that I'm doing in my life as a whole, because we don't interface fully in that way. Like, I have relationships in my life, I have a family, I have, responsibilities outside of the stream, and I don't always spend a ton of time explaining every single one of them to all of you because it's a gaming broadcast and you don't, for the most part, care that much. It doesn't really matter that much. But people have been wondering why I've been streaming at night instead of in the afternoon. And the super simple reason is that it's July and the studio that I have set up gets direct afternoon sunlight. So like I can have AC set up and stuff, and that's great, but I'm competing with a large ball of fusion reaction in the sky, and the large ball of fusion reaction in the sky is pointed directly at the chair that I'm sitting in, with nothing in between me and it except for a window that I have some like blackout film on my window, and I obviously have blinds as well, but like that can be pretty miserable. So it's generally getting up to like 100 degrees Fahrenheit in this room with all my lights and stuff turned on for streaming. So I can try to stream without a webcam and all the lights turned off. I can amp up the AC, but people are going to hear fan noise and complain about that. And yeah, all of that's just sort of gross. So it's difficult for me to stream in the afternoon right now. I have a couple of real life commitments daily, in the evening and in the morning. I'm not going to try to explain everything about all of my life to you all, but in the evenings I like to be free so that I can like have dinner and hang out with my partner Caitlin after she's done with work. She has a job that more resembles a 9 to 5 than mine, so she gets done after that and comes home and has a few hours to hang out before she goes to sleep, and so I really liked having that time free. And so if it's very difficult for me to stream in the afternoon and I have to have like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. free ideally, just because that's a thing that I'm prioritizing in my life, there aren't that many other times left that I really can stream. So that's the super simple answer to why I'm streaming at night. Obviously, there are all sorts of other factors that go into running a business, but they're like, physically I am in extreme discomfort if I try to stream in the afternoon right now. So that's just fairly straightforward, and that's because it's summer, and in summer it gets really hot. And there are ways that I could try to solve that. I could spend a lot of money moving somewhere else. I could spend a lot more money on air conditioning solutions and stuff like that, but honestly I just don't think that it's particularly worth it for like 2 months of the year, especially considering like how much polluting and consumption that's going to go into me making it so I can function in the afternoon in this space when I can just stream in the evenings. And unfortunately, if you can't catch me live at night, I should have said at night, not in the evenings, you're gonna have to watch the VODs, but that's life right now. And I'm looking forward to winter when it's not super hot. But yeah, the things that I don't think there's anything wrong with the things that humans do changing based on the seasons, because the seasons are different. I think that's actually a pretty enjoyable part of being human. So yeah, that's that. Oh, I wanted to like show off the setup that I have because this is mostly finished. People have asked, why does it get hot in this room? So I have about 900 LED bulbs running around the top of the ceiling, as well as like 4 large LED panels pointed in different directions in this room, which create a lot of heat. I have 2 different DSLR cameras pointed at me, where the battery powering of those creates quite a lot of heat. I have my monitors. I have actually a 5th LED light, I think, and I obviously have my desktop PC running, which is not in this image, but is off to the side. That all generates quite a lot of heat. I can stream with less heat. I can do that. And now all of a sudden, I'm in my super chill night mode, which I think is really cool. I very much enjoy being able to flip some switches and suddenly being broadcasting in this light. And so I've been doing that a little bit in the afternoons. I've also been streaming a little bit in the afternoons with no cam at all, and then I've been streaming a lot at night. Okay, cool. Let's just stick with this cam now, because it's nicer. I also got asked just in general how I choose which games to play on stream. Let's see. What are my reasons for picking a game to play on stream? What leads me to maining a game? I could probably pick a new game like Slay the Spire and XCOM each day and be set for months, but that doesn't seem like what I'm looking for. Do I consider myself a variety streamer? Am I looking to change my gameplay and cadence, or do I like where I'm at right now? My experience with choosing games has not been that I can pick a different game every day and enjoy it a lot. Most of the time, when I play a game, I have no interest in streaming it for more than like a couple of hours. And the sponsored hours are great for that. I get to check out a new game, stream it for an hour or two, and then move on. But for me to want to stream a game for a long time, I have to not only, one, really enjoy streaming the game, but I also have to enjoy presenting the game to an audience. I have to enjoy the audience that wants to watch that game and ask me questions about that game. I have to enjoy like talking to that audience about the game and explaining things. And there are very few games for which all of those things are satisfied. One of the primary reasons that I stopped playing XCOM was that I lost interest in the XCOM community. Like, there were people in the XCOM community that just became frustrating for me. I'd already answered the questions that there were to answer for the XCOM community for the most part, and it was just like time to move on to a new game. I largely stopped playing FTL because of just like sort of falling out of love with the FTL community a little bit. I still go back to the XCOM community every now and then and browse the subreddit and check in with what's going on. And I have a lot of viewers who came from XCOM to begin with, who I am very happy to see. The people on my channel who liked XCOM are not my problem, but some of the like personalities in the XCOM community started to grind on me a little bit. And so that like took me away from XCOM, and then the same very much in FTL. There's some competitiveness in FTL as a community that I don't like very much, that made me lose a lot of interest in that. And the Slay the Spire community has been great, and I really enjoy talking about Slay the Spire with viewers. I haven't even really gotten bored of answering the same questions or anything. Like, I really love streaming Slay the Spire. There are a lot of things that make Slay the Spire a great game to stream. One of them is that it's very easy for a viewer to sit down and see exactly what's going on in a run. They can like see from the cards in my hand what sort of deck I'm building. They can see all the relics that I have. They can see what floor I'm on, how much health I have, what potions I have. On any screen in the game, basically, somebody's able to sit down and work out everything that's going on. And that makes it like dynamite for streaming. It's really, really, really fun to stream Slay the Spire. And I think it's a really good game to watch as well. So that's all cool. I have recently been enjoying streaming Teamfight Tactics an awful lot. I'm really enjoying playing Teamfight Tactics. It's a really fun game to think about. It's a deck builder, it's a squad based combat game. So there are several reasons why it appeals to me as a gamer and my levels of expertise. I'm very good at it. I've been hovering around the top 200 players in North America, which is like very good for a game with this level of reach. Especially given that I'm playing against people who have like put in twice as many hours into the game because they were playing it before it came out on the live client, or who are coming from Auto Chess, which is another game in the genre which I never really played. So it's the sort of game which I am playing to get better at and trying to get to a point where I can make like educational content, instructive content based around teamfight tactics, which is something that I do. When I pick up a new game, I don't leap into making the traditional educational content that I'm known for on my channel straight away because I don't know the game yet. I have to learn a game, reach a level of a large amount of expertise, and then I can start churning out videos about like, hey, how do you do this thing in teamfight tactics? What does this thing in teamfight tactics mean related to other things in your life which might be interesting to you to learn about? These are the sort of videos that I'm well known for in Slay the Spire. So yeah, I think right now a lot of my Slay the Spire audience is seeing me doing this and interpreting it in very odd ways. I do not dislike Slay the Spire, and don't really want to stop playing Slay the Spire. Being asked 5 times a day when I will play Slay the Spire, or if I have quit Slay the Spire forever, or why I don't like Slay the Spire anymore while I'm trying to broadcast a different game, does leave me like less interested in those people. There's a very awkward thing as a streamer where if somebody is interested in me streaming Slay the Spire, there's only really one thing I can give that person, right? All I can do is stream Slay the Spire for them. If that's the only thing that they're interested in genuinely is me playing Slay the Spire. And it's, for a lot of people, they like watching somebody stream Slay the Spire. And there are lots of people who are very good at Slay the Spire who stream it quite a lot. So for a lot of people, they can just do that. And for some people, they like watching me stream. They like watching me play strategy games or whatever. And so for them, there's no problem when I'm not streaming Slay the Spire because they can just watch me play a different game, and that's awesome too. But people who specifically want to watch just me play just Slay the Spire, there's only one thing that I can do to cater to that person, and it's not something that I intend to do for the rest of my life. So if you are one of those people, it's tough, right? It's tough. And I have a lot of people who I think are those sorts of people, and I understand why. Like, I've created this cool show that people like watching. There are a lot of memes in the community about Slay the Spire. It's a really fun game. It's fun to watch. I'm very good at it. But that's not going to be me for the rest of my life, and there was never any intention for it to be me for the rest of my life. So, you know, right now I'm playing Teamfight Tactics. I'll definitely play more Slay the Spire when the new character comes out. Depending on what it's like to stream that game when the new character comes out, like what that experience is. If there are a bunch of people in my chat being like, hey Jorbs, I'm so mad at you that you didn't stream Slay the Spire every day, or a bunch of people being competitive and being like, oh, your opinions on the new character are wrong, you're rusty, you should never have stopped playing, I'm probably gonna just stop streaming Slay the Spire if that's the sort of atmosphere that it happens, because it kills the show. Like, it absolutely wrecks the show for people who want to sit there and enjoy what's happening. And it kills my enjoyment of broadcasting the show. And these are just unfortunate things about trying to stream a live show to a community of people. I think there are viewers who interpret what's going on as I am this like personalityless, emotionless thing which creates daily Slay the Spire shows for them, and don't consider that like I'm a human being who is trying to do something that he enjoys and can enjoy it less if they make it a shitty experience, and might do something else if they do that. Um, and that really shouldn't be surprising to any viewer, but it seems like sometimes it is. So that's like generally my pattern of streaming games, is that I find a game that really appeals to me, that I really enjoy the streaming experience of. I try to get really good at it, and then I try to create content that generates a lot of value for viewers about that game. And that's been a way that I've been successful in growing my channel in general, and a way that I've had a lot of fun streaming. In terms of like extra games, like sometimes I'll just chill out and stream in a very different mode for a couple of hours. Like in the evening, I might play some RimWorld with a beer. The goal there is like just to relax a little bit and hang out with people who want to chill in the community and ask me questions about me, and meme a little bit and stuff like that. I haven't been doing as much of that lately because I just haven't had the extra energy for it, but that's certainly a thing that I enjoy doing sometimes. Lately I've been doing this shit lately. This shit has been many hours, and yeah, all sorts of effort and stuff. Okay. Ooh. I was also asked what it's like having my community existing when I'm not streaming. It's a ton of fun having my community existing when I'm not streaming. I generally have Discord open on my third monitor. I try to read almost everything that goes on in Discord. I read every YouTube comment that anybody makes. I read all the things that people tweet at me. I try to keep up with Twitch chat, but sometimes I do miss messages in Twitch chat, obviously, because trying to run a live show, and sometimes I get engrossed in the game I'm playing or whatever and miss a message. But yeah, it's a really fun community. There's a tiny bit of maintenance that goes into trying to work out how to make sure that it's a positive place. I've thought a lot and put quite a lot of effort into organizing it in that way, like the helping each other thread, for example, trying to work out how to structure that exactly, trying to work out which threads I want on the Discord and which threads I don't. In particular, I do not want my Discord to resemble a Twitter feed where people are just posting memes or posting outrage sorts of things and stuff like that. I try to make it a positive and social place where people are just being people and talking with each other. And yeah, it's great to have. I love hearing what people are up to, love checking in with you all. No complaints. I'm very satisfied with Discord right now, and that's not one of the things that I'm working on at all at the moment, because it's just in a really nice place that I'm very happy with. So that's super cool. All right, and I got a Slay the Spire question about Wraith form, which is cool. I've talked a decent amount about Wraith form, but I don't think I ever made a like how good is Wraith form like YouTube video. I think when they reworked it, I'd already sort of finished making those. So yeah, happy to expand on that here. Wraith form is a very powerful mitigation tool in the Silence kit. It makes the blocking half of combat comparatively trivial. Do I think that intangible as a mechanic should be changed or removed? What I think would be an adequate trade-off for a card having intangible. So yeah, my opinion is that Slay the Spire only really has 3 big things that you do, and those are attack, block, and scale. And it's really fun to have fights where you have to balance those 3 things. I think the double Orb Walker fight in Act 3 that it used to be an elite fight and it got turned into an event fight. But I think that fight is the best fight in the game, and the reason is that the way it's calibrated makes you think very hard about whether you attack, block, or scale on every turn with most of the decks that you show up in that fight with. There are fights like the Nemesis fight where it's like you make almost no decisions ever about which cards to play because it's so obvious. Like when Nemesis is intangible, obviously I'm not going to play attacks on Nemesis, right? When Nemesis debuffs me, Nemesis doesn't attack me, so I don't have to play block cards that turn. When Nemesis does attack me, it's for like 45, so obviously I'm going to be playing block cards. And so, yeah, that fight, I don't really feel like I make a ton of decisions. I don't consider the Nemesis fight to be one of the better fights in the game in terms of challenging me as a player. But in the double Orb Walker fight, ironically, the Orb Walkers just do the same thing every turn, basically. They just attack you, and they attack you for more and more and more and more as time goes on. And some of the attacks are for slightly less and put burns in your draw pile, and some of them are for slightly more and don't. But the general idea is that you have these two enemies, they have 80 to 100 health or so, and they're attacking you every turn for more and more while making your future turns worse by putting burns in your draw pile. And because of that, you have to think really hard. Like anytime you spend energy on blocking instead of attacking, you may be delaying your ability to kill them. When you play scaling cards, I think around about 80 health is a really good place to set a health bar at the start of a fight to make the player have trouble deciding between attacking and scaling. Like, is a Noxious Fumes better than a Deadly Poison Plus sorts of questions, right? I think of round about 80 health on two enemies is a really good place to set health to make that question a difficult one to answer. And that fight's just a ton of fun. And so when you have Wraith form in the game, you simplify so many fights down to just, do I play Wraith form now or not? Like, when do I play Wraith form? And I do think that that makes the game a lot less rich, for sure. And the runs that I win with like 12 turns of intangible of 4 Wraith form pluses or whatever are not my most fun runs to play. So the Spire is really fun to stream. I get to hang out with Chad and answer questions and meet with people during those runs, so I don't really mind it too much. But definitely when I'm thinking about the runs that were the most difficult and challenging and that I feel the best about succeeding at over the course of playing Slay the Spire, none of the runs with Wraith forms in them are those things. Maybe there's a run in there with one Wraith form and some Piercing Wails and stuff where I had to engineer a perfect solution. Maybe somewhere, but for the most part, the Wraith form runs are in this like separate category where it's like, oh yeah, the game's sort of not that great, and it's mostly about whether I play Wraith form on this turn or not. And, you know, that question is just not that complicated. So, I would generally prefer if intangible weren't in the game. I don't think that a mechanic which invalidates one of the 3 major parts of the game should be there. I would compare intangible to a card which deleted an enemy from existence, or a card which made it so if you survived until turn 6, you won automatically. Like, those cards are cards which would invalidate the concept of attack cards or the concept of scaling cards. And I think that they would obviously make the game a lot less fun to play, and I think Wraith form does something very similar to that in invalidating the concept of defensive cards. In terms of what a good trade-off is for Wraith form and getting an intangible, I think that the trade-offs that are set right now are decent. Paying half of your health for apparitions is pretty reasonable. Paying 1 dexterity every turn to put a Wraith form into play is certainly a cost. It's going to be very hard to think of a way to balance that card that makes it fit into the game in a way that isn't reductive, because it's just, by its nature, it's taking the blocking out of every turn until you run out of intangible, and working out the blocking every turn is one of the joys of the game, and there are a lot of fights where it's really difficult to do, and yeah, unfortunately, if you give the player intangible, all of a sudden it sort of goes away. So that's my spiel on Wraith form. And that is the August Ask Me Anything. So I hope that you enjoyed the chat. I hope that we talked a little bit more about like behind the scenes stuff and my motivations as a streamer and a human, and I hope that was helpful to people who have wondered about it a lot. I know I didn't go into like every single thing about all of the stuff that I do in my life. Hopefully that's okay. I'm doing that one because my life's complicated and it would just like take a really long time to try to explain everything that I do as a human being, and I'd probably like get a lot of it wrong. Like it's hard to understand why humans are how they are, and I don't really spend a lot of time stressing out about like, oh god, why am I the way I am? I just enjoy being the way I am. And two, because like it is nice as a public persona or whatever to have some separation between that and my private life. It's really nice to have parts of my life that are just mine, right? I'm an introvert very much, so when I step away from the stream or turn off my PC and close down Discord and go do stuff, that stuff's mine. Like I don't really want to talk to a bunch of people about it and have them give me their opinions about how I should do it or ask me how it went yesterday or anything like that, because that's just my thing. Is really important for me as somebody who is introverted and has, you know, almost 50,000 followers on Twitch, that I have parts of my life that are away from that giant group of people, and are just for me. But yeah, I'm still very happy to like do the Ask Me Anythings and chat about life and stuff, and I hope that you enjoyed this one and that it was interesting and taught you some things about me and maybe some things about streaming, and I got to show off the office and all that stuff. So thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you next month for another Ask Me Anything. Have an awesome August, everybody.